Hey students, and welcome to the Job Corps Career Success Track. Tracy and I are going to walk you through these next 8 weeks together. What we encourage you to do is to join with a mentor or with a student group and talk through each one of these topics in the next 60 days.
So here's where we're going to be going over these next 8 topics. We're going to go from personal growth and development to learning some interpersonal skills, workplace relationships and ethics. We'll talk about independent living, communication, problem solving, critical thinking, career and personal planning, and then continuous learning.
Now, before we get into topic 1, let me just tell you what our goals for you are. Number 1, we want to get you connected to a mentor in your first 60 days at Job Corps. That will really help you to have a great experience in your first couple of months. Secondly, we want you to learn about these 8 topics and many more if you want to continue to learn more through the FLEXTALK resources. And finally, for those of you who graduate this track, you will be qualified to become the mentor and help another student through these same 8 topics.
When you go out there to apply for a job or start your career, having something like this on your job application or your resume can go a long way to separate you from other candidates that you've been through this leadership training series.
All right, so that's enough for the introductions. Let's get into topic number 1. We're talking today about personal growth and development. And Tracy, today we're going to be talking about something called EQ. Those with high EQ have personal skills, attributes, and behaviors that foster confidence and drive for long-term growth. Now, Tracy, a lot of students will have heard of the term IQ, but many students have never heard of EQ. So let's define that first.
EQ measures your emotional and relational health. It's even more important to your future success than IQ. So even though the book smarts are important and intelligence is great, your EQ is going to be a greater predictor of success for you as you move out into the world.
And the great news is that while IQ is hard to improve upon, your EQ is something you can develop for the rest of your life.
Right, because it's based on what we're going to talk about more here in a minute, this idea of self-awareness, learning about your own emotions, but then learning how to relate to other people in your world.
So let's talk about self-awareness. A person with high EQ is self-aware and is brave enough to articulate their faults and their strengths. Tracy, how does bravery fit into self-awareness?
Our culture would say, hide your weaknesses, put on a mask, pretend to be someone that you're not. True self-awareness in a high EQ person is going to say, you know what? I do have weaknesses and I'm not going to hide those. I'm going to be honest about them. I'm going to be able to articulate them. But I also have some great strengths. So we all are a mixed bag. Nobody walks around with all strengths and no weaknesses. So the goal for you and your self-awareness is to figure out what your weaknesses are, own those, and learn to grow and turn those into strengths.
And many of you students have never done that before. Maybe you've never had a mentor before. So in these next 60 days, as you use the questions below, you'll be able to start doing this with your student group or your mentor. Be willing to put yourself out there a little bit. Be willing to talk about what you're good at, what you're not so good at, because your mentor will help you to process that, not just for your time at Job Corps, but really to strengthen your EQ and make you more successful for the rest of your life.
Now, the last thing we want to talk about on this topic is a person with high EQ develops a growth mindset. They work hard to push against the low expectations for people in their situation.
Yeah, so there are these 2 kinds of mindsets that people can have, the growth mindset or what's called a fixed mindset. If you have a fixed mindset, then you think that there's just sort of a natural ceiling for a person like you, a person with your intelligence or your abilities or your background or your money or whatever. So people with a fixed mindset stop working to advance themselves or their career, but people with a growth mindset push hard through those barriers and achieve more than they ever thought that they could.
For you, maybe this was part of your self-awareness. Maybe you had someone in your life that said you weren't smart enough or weren't good enough. So identify that, recognize that that person doesn't know who you are and what you're capable of, and take that and use that as motivation to say, I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish, and I'm not going to let other people's words or low expectations of me hold me back from what I want to do with my life.
So that's topic number 1, and now it's your turn to talk about personal growth and development. Use those questions down below to talk about this one with your mentor or your student group. And then I hope that you'd make the commitment to finish all 8 of these conversations, and that will get you on track for career success at Job Corps and beyond.